Welcome everybody to Tarot Times for November 2016. You know, the overall theme for the month, there have been a couple of recurring energies, and one of them would be the past, being called to the past, having the past involve in our lives in some way. And the other one would be the self-nurture, selfishness, those two things playing in together. So we can expect them as a general influence for the month, which will make life a little difficult for those that are directly impacted by that. It's birthday for Scorpio this month, and your main influence is going to be the word loss, whether it's losing the keys, losing a friend, losing a pet, whether it's death, whether it's something more minor or less permanent, but still an ending. Loss is part of the word, or it is the word that came through for me. And so that really means that you're going to feel the loss of something, that it's going to affect you in some way, that it isn't just not there and you don't care. Watch out for yesterday. This is that past influence. Yesterday, for Scorpios this month, is going to be like a quick karmic slap. Do monitor yourself. And to watch out for does mean that you didn't necessarily instigate it or isn't necessarily your fault, I guess, or to blame. But if something happened yesterday, all November, you're going to find the following day something you might have thought was done and dusted. You get the next bit or the add-on bit, or it wasn't done properly. It's not always about conflict. So watch out for yesterday. Does mean that today you need to, double check with things, cross the T's, dot the I's, and just make sure you've executed things properly. If you have had a problem with somebody, if you do have a problem with somebody, don't think it's over when it's over. Just get ready for the next day. But the good news is you won't have to wait a month or 3 weeks for that. It's going to happen very quickly. If you're half prepared for it in your mind, then if you think this is going to go a bit further, then you can perhaps think of the best way to manage that. Your strength is in your responsibility. Through November, you will be taking responsibility for your own actions. You will be dealing with the things that you need to deal with. Procrastination won't be on the agenda, and even things you've been putting off up till now will suddenly, it'll be as if something's lit a fire under your butt and you'll be on it. You'll be all over it. Your weakness is failure, and that's part of the yesterday thing. You'll be very hard on yourself when you make mistakes, or you may start remembering failures of the past, and that may inhibit your present, or you may have regrets, those kind of feelings. But the word is failure around that, so the things that you perceive you haven't done well. We've drawn out for you the Three of Pentacles return. You're going to feel like you're not getting, your just desserts, perhaps that everything's an effort and you're not getting out of it just yet what you would like. And that doesn't mean that the reward will never come, but what it does mean is that when the rewards do happen, you may just have to wait for them, or they may feel like they're not in line with the energy you put out there. The Nine of Swords is anxiety and concern and worry. Usually that comes from the past, actually. If we've got that, I've done this before and it didn't work last time mentality through November, then as you enter into these situations, you're going to be distressed, and that could be the same old argument. It's recycled energy. The Chariot suggests the chance of losing, or the possibility or the feeling that you could lose control of things, that situations can get out of hand. So I'd like to remind you of your main influence of loss. And the strength of responsibility. If you accept responsibility for your role in anything, then it's easy for you not to escalate it or lose control of it. Watch out for nasty words. So we've got a little bit of that going on. Watch out for gossips, people talking behind your back, those kind of things. And because yesterday is an issue, you talked about somebody yesterday, today they might come at you because the person you spoke to is speaking to them also. So it's that kind of energy for you. It doesn't actually feel like a difficult month if you mind your P's and Q's. And don't get too wound up in the failures of the past. I think you'll do a lot better this month. And do remember, everybody, if I hit your month and you want me to personalise that for you, pop it into the chat and say, can you please personalise this month for me? Because these are general readings for Scorpio or whatever the sun sign is. Moving on to Sagittarius. Absent-minded is the main influence of the month. And Saggies that hate that. Watch out for indiscretion. Again, the what to watch out for isn't necessarily coming from you. So if you've done something a bit naughty and somebody else saw you the chances are pretty good they're going to let it slip. Now, the word is indiscretion. It doesn't feel like it's deliberate. It doesn't feel like it's targeted. And you yourself might let something slip that you didn't intend to, reveal something you didn't intend to, that could get somebody else into trouble. So what to watch out for this month, the strengths is your follow through. Things that you've started or the things that you say you're going to do, you will just do them. You'll be there for that. The absent-mindedness notwithstanding, it's not about not wanting to, being lazy or making false promise. It's definitely maybe absent-minded energy is going to be more about time frames and timing. Your weakness is loneliness this month, feeling lonely, feeling alone. Welcome, Kathy. I'm so glad that you are here. I understand that hearing somebody else's voice and something else going on and giving yourself a moment to breathe. The first card draw for Saggies is the Seven of Wands, and the Seven of Wands is about inner conflict, really. But it's because we're inner conflicted, or we have a conflict in our own mind, that we can find ourselves drawn towards conflict in others. In other words, it doesn't take much to pop us over the edge. So if people are arguing around you, if words that are said are not intended, that's where the indiscretion can come in as well. The Ace of Wands is, you know what you've got to do, you know where you want to be, your eye is on the end game, and that usually does lead to follow through. That is to say, I know what I've got to do, that's the direction I've got to go in. It's more of I know where I'm going, and getting on with the job, you know, putting all of your energy into that nice, new, fresh energy, renewed vigor. Yeah, that kind of thing. We've got the reversed Four of Pentacles, which does suggest a little bit of jealousy, if not a lot, and because it's reversed, not managing it very well this month. So those things that make you feel threatened, those things that make you feel like you're under fire, will come into your sphere this month. And then we've got the reverse Devil. So Saggies, you're the ones that need a little bit of hugging and a bit of looking after this month. So if you know a Sagittarius, if that's your partner, try to give them a little bit of leeway. And if they step over the mark, let them know, well, look, you're stepping over the mark. I'm not gonna dive all over that right now, but perhaps we can leave this and come back to it when you're feeling better, because we've got the Devil reversed, and that means I don't care about the consequence. I'm getting it out there, I'm saying it, I'm doing it, but it's also falling into old habits. That means if you've got a tendency to drink too much, smoke too much, eat too much, when you're not feeling so good, when you're challenged, like this month will challenge you, Saggies, it's likely that you'll fall back into old habits, and that can be old relationship habits as well. Loneliness is not a comfortable weakness to have this month, and that's the one where you feel like you're all alone. Nobody cares. I'm going to go down the garden and eat worms. Nobody loves me, and it doesn't matter how many people love you. It's a feeling, and it's a legitimate feeling. And so if you can find your way through that feeling, or you can write it in a journal, put it out there that it gets away from your body, away from your thought processes, you will be a lot happier this month. Welcome, Jackie. Jennifer. Capricorn this month, and remember to put your hands up if I hit yours and you want to have a personalised month's influence for you. If I hit your sun sign, Capricorn, main influence is socialising. You're going to be out and about, anything to do with social, anything. You're going to be putting your hand up saying, yep, I'm in. Watching out for conflict. Watch out for conflict around you. It doesn't necessarily mean it's caused by you, but because it's conflict, you could cause it. It could be caused by somebody that affects you in some way. You got a pretty good looking month though, so I wouldn't be too worried about it. Since it's what to watch out for, don't get involved if you want this month to pan out in its best possible way. The strength is mobility. I see you getting around, feeling good, moving between one space and the other. That can be physical mobility too if you're normally down a little bit in there, but the word was mobility. So you'll find it very easy to get around this month. And the weakness is resentment. So harboring resentment does damage to you. So don't be doing that. If somebody's getting a bit out of hand and you don't like it, you don't have to enter into a fight or a conflict over that. You may need to decide whether you're expecting too much of them or whether you could do something yourself rather than relying on the unreliable other person, whatever that might be. We do have the Nine of Cups. That's, all your dreams can come true kind of a card. It's all good things. There's nothing negative about the Nine of Cups unless it's reversed, in which case you're looking at the fact that, you're full of potential this month. Things will look nice and bright. Things you've been waiting for will come home to rest, and if what you're wanting is socializing, then it'll meet your needs. You'll feel pretty good about that. In fact, with resentment and socializing in the basket, the socializing may lift you out of that. The Ace of Wands reversed, it does suggest that you're not going to see the end of things. You may sit there and think that, I'm going through hardship right now, but I can't see the outcome. I can't see the other side of that. That's okay, because most things about this month are okay. So you can let that be, if you like. You can sit with that and go, you don't have to see the end of everything. You don't have to micromanage your life. The Eight of Pentacles suggests that you'll be working hard, you'll be gathering your resources, and we've got the Ten of Pentacles. With those Pentacles and that Nine of Cups, you should have a jolly fine month, you know. We've got that abundance feeling happy, feeling okay. Everything's okay around us. So if we've got resentment creeping in at any level, that's targeted. That's not your whole life. It's something you just need to have a look at, something you just need to think about a little bit so that you can move on past it and not get trapped in that and taking down these wonderful things. You know, I've often mentioned we can have a wonderful day. You can work all day, have a wonderful day, and that last minute or even at any point in that day, some person can come on in there and give you a hard time. You can spend the rest of your day fuming about it, but that was 5 minutes of an 8 or 24-hour day, 14 hours, whatever, and we will let it override everything else. And so I'm saying there might be a spanner in the works for you this month, Capricorn. There might be a few little tweaks or a few moments that don't feel so great, but don't let it overshadow all of the wonderful things that are around you this month. Enjoy, appreciate, repeat. Repeat is the bit. Aquarius, the main influence for you is family and friendships. You'll find that anything to do with family and friends will trump anything else. It'll be very important to you to connect, reconnect, call up, you know, all of those kind of things. So you'll be touching base with a lot of people. What to watch out for is gossip. And you've got a card or two in here that suggests this could be an issue. Strength, and what to watch out for, I do like to reiterate, may not be you doing the gossiping, but just remember too, if you allow people to gossip to you, if you allow that to be not them discharging of themselves and trusting you, but actually just gossiping, did you know that blah, blah, which is totally unrelated to them, or unnecessary for you to know, if you engage in that, if you listen to that, as much as you're not doing it for the reason that they're sharing it, you are encouraging them. You are a part of it. So think about that. I'm terrible because I just never hesitate to stand up and say, no, not interested, go away, talk your crap somewhere else. Strength is support, supporting others, supporting projects, supporting people isn't just about giving them money. It's not just about patting them on the head. It's about letting them know that you trust them. It's about letting them know that you think they can do whatever it is that they're suggesting they might want to do, whatever they want to put into place. And you're strengthening their whole energy in that regard. The weakness, selfishness. There could be a tendency towards yourself, which is reiterated in the Page of Cups. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Hang on, I'll just put my head back. Which is reiterated in the Page of Cups. Now, this can be a suggestion that, you know, having a look at yourself and taking a minute for yourself is okay. But if you're only doing certain things for yourself, you might need to rethink your motivation. Things could get out of control here. Again, there's your selfishness and the gossip perhaps coming into play. Do think about that. When the Chariot is there, it's things pulling against each other. So we always know that that goes against the grain. That's not really in my value. It leaves us feeling uncomfortable. And if we stay in it, then we become part of it. So that leads somebody else to say, but, blah, blah, said, did, or otherwise. If you don't want to be a part of it, don't be. Now, we've got the reverse King of Wands, and that just means that you might find it, you know, the way that you communicate with people this month doesn't get you what you want exactly. So stick with the family and friends. The King of Wands is about mastering the technique of selling an idea. It's communicating action and plans. It's leader stuff. So if people aren't following through, if they're not doing what you want them to do, you might want to just let that be this month and just allow them to do things the way that they want to. And dare I say, for a change? So if it is a change with a particular person or a particular environment, then you can rest, you can relax, and you can let them go forward, and you can support them. That's your strength. Those two, I see that as being called on when you've got the support and the unwillingness to do things somebody else's way. When they're together, it suggests that you're getting an opportunity to show somebody how much you think of them, how much you respect them, and their choices. And the Seven of Swords, of course, is stealth. It's deception. It's not always evil intention. Sometimes it's really, you know, it's like the white lie kind of energy. And other times it's, I don't really want people to know the truth because they may say no or they may not like me. But it also goes into people working behind your back. Now, stealth isn't always bad. They could be working behind your back for your own good. But I've got that watch out for gossiping in there, so I can't help but radiate towards that. Sometimes, though, people talking about you behind your back is to advance you, is to help you, is to support you because they're worried about you. And so all you need to do is, I think, Aquarius this month is remember the fine line. Remember the fine line, okay? Pisces, communication is your main influence this month. As a main influence, it means you will be required, and that's to understand about the main influence. It will be called upon. It'll either be called upon in a single big swoop that affects a fair whack of your month or a fair bit of your future, or it'll be repeatedly called upon. You'll be asked to explain yourself. You'll be asked to prove yourself, those kind of things that if we resent that and we don't like that, then we find ourselves in a tricky situation where the person who needs to know what we're doing just gets brassed off, really. They just get upset with us. So think about when you need to communicate well. If you're in a position where you employ others, communication is going to come back to bite you. If you don't do it properly, you might find complaints against you, that kind of thing. What to watch out for is deceit. Now, this is a big deal. We've got a bit of this running in. Now, I said it right at the beginning of the show that one of the big energies of the whole month for everybody is the past and thinking of self. So in the past where you have thought of yourself or where you've had an out with somebody and things have gone wrong and you can't see their side of the equation, you know, a longer term angst, if you like, it's going to come back to roost in November. We're going to be having these people bite back at us, or the situation that we fudged 2 years ago suddenly gets revealed, those kind of things. November, it's the past coming back to you. It's also good, though, so it's not all about the negatives. If you've done really good in the past and you put something out there and it hasn't seemed to pay off, it's most likely to do so this month. And it's the sort of month that if something you've really got your heart set on doesn't pay off, you may need to rework it, rethink it. I'm brought to mind of Abraham Hicks, and Esther Hicks's book, The Law of Attraction, was it? When they first wrote that, it was in the 80s. It was very dry, channeled work. It was like thick as all hell, and it was boring to read. It really wasn't fun to read. So it trickled on out there. It sort of hit a few specific groups. Then The Law of Attraction, The Secret, came out. And when that movie came out and everybody was in this global environment where you could share things on the internet and all the rest, the publishing company that put out The Law of Attraction, the book by the Hicks, they revamped it. They shortened it down. They rewrote it, wrote it, by the way. They put a new cover on it. They made it all pretty, mentioned the words The Secret repeatedly, and woohoo, they had a bestseller on their hands. So sometimes it's not the idea or the ideal, but it's how it's presented. And if it's getting old, if you've done it a while ago and you've been flogging that horse, then you might need to revamp the whole environment, the whole way you're doing things. And if it's not the item itself, Pisces, this might be the month to determine to put it into a whole new package, but it could also be the month to walk away. That's everybody, really. What to watch out for? Deceit. The strength is focus. That means you're a workhorse this month, but when you get focused on something as a strength, it means everything else gets ignored, and so you will be piling towards one thing with disregard for others and what their needs may be. I don't see that as a negative, being really focused myself a lot of the time, but do bear in mind that there are peripheral things out there, that there are people out there. Your weakness this month is a bleeding heart. This is the deceit bit that I keep, when I wrote it, I kept drawing back to that as I was typing bleeding heart. The deceit could be somebody giving you information or telling you things are worse than they are, telling you something that isn't quite true, that just to get your attention, your time, your energy, you know, the common term for them, energy vampires, I suppose. So watch out for that. The term bleeding heart to me meant it was misplaced, because compassion and empathy isn't misplaced, but a bleeding heart can be taken advantage of, and somebody could be just poking you in the wrong space. Now we've got the Hanged Man reversed. So it's not a willing self-sacrifice. The sacrifice you make this month, if it's your time, you will be not happy about that. It will be in the month and in the time that you do it something that straight afterwards you regret. The Four of Cups, that's people whispering in your ears, and that's the deceit part, I feel, anyway. But also communication is important, because with the Four of Cups, we're getting advice. It can be bad advice. We're getting advice. We're getting somebody, though, telling us stories. You're getting us somebody who's saying, you know, poor old Johnny over there, you may be interested in Johnny, and they're saying, poor Johnny's had such a tough life, da-da-da-da-da, but Johnny might be an arsehole. So it's that kind of thing that you're looking for. Where is the hidden piece of information in all of that? Just because somebody's had a hard time in life doesn't mean they're a nice person and going to be nice to you, those kind of things. But deceit is is usually intended. It's never accidental as in stealth, as I showed you before. Defeat is intended. So whether you're doing it or whether somebody's doing it to you, there is intention and there is an agenda. If it's being done to you, the sooner you locate it, the less likely you are to get caught up in something you don't want. We've got a lot of this kind of energy all through the sun signs this month. Seven of Pentacles, decisions, do you stick with what you've got? Do you let it go? You stay focused on what you want as time goes by, and that's one of your strengths, and you'll make the best decision possible. When this card arises, it means there's an opportunity, but that opportunity is going to cost us something we already have. That can be like a new job where we're quite comfy in our job, but it would be nice to do something different, or a job that has more hours, and while we want more money, we have to give something else up, like time at home, time with the kids, that sort of thing. The Seven of Pentacles always deals with those kind of choices where we've got to give something we are happy with up, something we've accumulated. If you want to buy a home, you've got to give up the money you've saved, right? Those kind of things. Perhaps a lifestyle, perhaps a holiday plans. Those are the decisions being made. And we've got the reverse Three of Cups now. Normally the Three of Cups is full of celebrations. In reverse, you'll be finding it really hard to enjoy things this month. Again, it may be a struggle to work out. If you've got to have, if there are parties, if there are gatherings, which is quite likely, they're not ones that you will enjoy, or that for whatever reason you'll find it difficult to just be there in the moment. So it's a little bit challenging for you, Pisces, and you've had a couple of months that I've read over the last year or so where you've been really piling towards something, and I think why it can get a bit tricky for you in some of these months is something inside you isn't quite clear yet what it is that you really want for yourself. And so you may be struggling to look at, well, this is what I've created, and I'm a happy person, and I love people, and everything's wonderful in general, but I'm just not quite happy. There's something that I'm not getting. And because of that, you stay in something that perhaps is actually the problem. Okay, just a thought. In the longer term. Aries, we've got grand plans. No surprise there. Grand plans is waffling on, magnanimous, gregarious, all of those things. This one is, this is you, Gigi. No problem. Watch out for the influences. That means because you've got grand plans, anybody that starts pushing those plans, if you say, I want to go buy a house. I use houses because they're just grand. I want to go buy a house. And then somebody says to you, yeah, let's do that. We'll do it together. We'll blah, 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 blah. And they escalate the plan into something even bigger that becomes beyond what you're both capable of or what you are capable of, or somebody who pushes you. And it can be as simple as this. You can be in the shop looking at the dress that's worth $200 and you got $50, and while you can put it on the credit, you shouldn't. And the friend is at your shoulder. I'm bad for this. I do this with my friends. At your shoulder, and she's going, go on, just do it. Just get it. Enjoy that, And then you find that you walk out of the shop going, damn, now I've got to find that money. I've got to work harder, or I've got to give up something else. Strength is in the home. So it's nesting, looking after your home, which could also be part of expenditure. Looking after your home, feeling comfortable at home, that's your strength. Do your planning there, do your thinking there. When you do it out with a few wines with your mates or a few beers with your mates, it could get out of hand. It could get so big, you regret it later. The weakness is greed, and of course, when you see grand plans, influences, and greed in the same package, I'll say, what roll? I want to go party with Aries this month, but I don't want to know them next month when they've got to pay the bills. I don't want to know them when they're crying in their cup of coffee because they can't afford to do anything for at least 2 months to pay for November. If you're going to do Christmas shopping, I really think it's a bad month for you, Aries, to shop this month, really, seriously, unless you have a really tight leash. You take the person or the friend with you that always says, you don't need that. That's the person to take with you. It'll be annoying as all hell, but it will save you later. The Empress, she's the queen of the home, and I was quite pleased to see that Strength is your home and the Empress is there. She loves to enjoy her life. You take her with you everywhere you go, Gigi. She loves her home life. She loves to feel good. She wants to sit back. So this is preening the house, if you like. This is making sure the garden's weeded. So it's going to be a very enterprising month in and around the home. But while you're there is also when you'll have your best ideas, and a grand plan will be grounded in the home environment as opposed to out with the upbeat energy of socializing. We've got the reverse Five of Cups. You've already been disappointed. When it's reversed like this and in the situation, you've already been disappointed. And so I would say that this, whatever we're looking at with the greed and watching the influences, has happened before. So it could be one person. It could be somebody you already know. And I've got that whole energy around this of You should know better. That's for all Aries. I'll come to Gigi at the end. It's that I should have known better energy around that. I shouldn't have let them talk me into this, that kind of thing. It was fun at the time. What were you thinking becomes the cry of the world. The King of Swords, analysis, mastering it, all good stuff. But if greed is your weakness, it might step in the way of what you know. And that's those two as a combination on the corners there, the Five of Cups and the King of Swords. They are an inner conflict, an inner pull. It's, I know but it sounds so good right now. Or I've had 2 wines, it sounds marvelous. And then the next morning it doesn't, but you've already said you will do something or spend something, or you've already put the money on the GGs. Whatever's happened, it's happened. The Knight of Wands in reverse, it's the Knight of slaying the dragon. And so while you've got the energy of slaying the dragon, the grand plans, the capability won't necessarily be there. So if you think of something incredibly amazing, haul it back to reasonable, and you can do it. There's no reason why you can't. But don't let it get to the point where you've priced it beyond your capabilities. So for Gigi, this affects you personally this month. I can see that in actual fact you're going to have a person, it feels like from your past. I've got them coming up behind you, so it's either from your past or very suddenly, and they're going to give you this idea, and they're going to say, I know you can do this. They're going to, pander to your ego, pay you compliments, that kind of thing, to the point where you will start, I can almost feel glee. Glee! Oh, this seems so good. But they will disappoint you in the end. Or it will disappoint you in the end. There will either be another person who steps in between as a blocker, i.e. partnerships or friends who say, that person, no, don't go there. And I can feel the whole coming down of your body. So that's a single event. It feels to the 3rd week of the month more than any other time of the month. Also with the influences, I've just got you really a bit bamboozled with different ideas, and I've got them coming from 2 quarters for you. So you've got this person coming up from the behind, and I've got this person out the front. I do think you know both of these people already. It's not like something out of the square. But one you've had dealings with, and that's where your I should know better comes in for you personally. You've had dealings or you've watched them in the past, so don't expect them to treat you any differently. Really the best week I've got for you out of November, Gigi, would be the 2nd week. Heading towards the end of the 2nd week, I've got maybe the Thursday through to the Sunday period as being a really nice time for you. I've just got everything settled, everything feeling really good. And I've also got the sense that while you're sitting there, and this feels to be the home energy to me, while you're sitting there, I can actually see you looking out and looking out a window, and I can see across the street, I can see a fair bit of green. And I can just see the last fading of, I don't know if it's a tree, but it's almost like it's just losing all its florals, or it's just losing all of its prettiness of the season. And then suddenly I just get this whammo, but isn't it beautiful in its own right now? Do you know what I mean? Sort of in the moments where everything just is at perfect peace. And that leads you to feel very constructive going forward. So it's a really nice energy, and that's your home feeling really pleasant, and all the right things are there, feasting on the eyes and so forth. So I've got a really nice feeling around that for you. The very last week towards the end of November, and again, I want to put it towards the end of the month, the end of the week. So we've got the end of the week, or the end of the week. But as the end of that month hits, I'm not sure what days it falls on. The last couple of days, I get a shock for you, so be prepared for that. I'm not going any further into it today because I haven't got time, but I do get a shock. Nobody's dying, I don't think, but it's a shock. I just get that bull fart in my stomach that you get when something really surprises, when you discover something not pleasant, and I hope it's nothing to do with the rest of this month. So you probably do need to be a bit on your guard personally. Taurus, partnerships is your main influence this month. Love, relationships, business partnerships, you're very welcome. Business partnerships, any dealings that you have now. A partnership can be with a bank. If you've got a mortgage, if you've got a loan, a partnership can be with a company if you're employed. So remember that. Partnerships is not always about love relationships, but it includes them. It does include partnerships in business as well, where you have a business with somebody, but you're in partnership with anybody you have a contract with. So that's the main influence. Everything will be about that. What to watch out for, signs and direction. Missing the signs will cost you this month. If you've got a partner who's making noises and sounds in a particular direction and you can anticipate that, you can see where that's going, you can actually facilitate things very quickly, very easily without awkwardness. And so you'll be asked to take a leadership role, I guess, in those kind of things. The writing will be on the wall, quite literally. The strength is contracts. Because I've got partnerships there and your strength is contracts, I would suggest you'll be also in the position to make new partnerships, new contracts, signing contracts, that kind of thing. As it's a strength for you, you'll be able to commit, sign on the dotted line without wavering, without trying to think, should I or shouldn't I, for too long. The weakness is balance, so make sure you do have a balance between work and play, the friends, the family, and business, all of that kind of thing. Or don't be devoting all of your attention to a singular thing in November, because if you do that, you may miss some of these signs and directions and contracts and partnership potentials. The Two of Wands, directionally, it's very clear. So we've already covered that, really. That it's I know what to do, and I know how to do it, and I know where I'm going. And it's an action card. By knowing all of that, it could be because you saw the sign, you heard the song, somebody said it to you, you got the email, the letter, the phone call, whatever it might be. All you have to do is say yes or sign on the dotted line. The Temperance card in reverse, it's almost like I did that back to front, I suppose, because the Temperance card in reverse is about imbalance. It's not communicating necessarily well, or it's not communicating appropriately or the way another person might like you to. Again, this becomes that balance thing. Be balanced about your attention is on the other person as well as yourself, that kind of balance. Understand their needs, not just what you've got to do or what you've got to say or what your obligations are. The Temperance card can be a fantastic card, but she's a hard taskmaster when you lose your balance, when you lose your position, your center line. We've got the reverse Two of Cups. You'll find it very difficult to see another person's point of view if you do fall out this month. This is where your partnerships might, and the signs come into play. You might rely more heavily on signs and indications than a person telling you, than a person being their usual self, that kind of thing. And of course, we've got the Six of Cups, which is always about the past. And again, there's that past diving on in there. So it could even be something that's happened in the past that you're harboring resentment for, harboring a grudge, those kind of energies. Do maintain the balance. Now, your upside with your contracts and your partnerships can easily be overturned. So on the one side of your life, this is the balance part, that might work really nicely, and on another part of your life, it may be the exact opposite. So think about balancing those two areas out between work and friendships, etc. Gemini, this is a fast-paced month for you. You're going to get to the end of it, and you're going to be saying, where did that month go? It felt like 2 days. What to watch out for? Criticism. I say watch out for it because if you're being critical or being criticized, it's not going to go down terribly well. You're going to love somebody 1 minute and hate them the next, and vice versa. Your strength is acquisition. Acquisition, being able to acquire things, being able to get what you need, all wonderful energies. The weakness is giving up. Think twice about giving up too soon just because it looks like a bit of a challenge. Especially spiritual people who've got this sort of weird idea that if something's a challenge, it means, for whatever reason, the universe doesn't want it. I've never noticed that the universe doesn't provide a challenge. Even a seed has to fight its way out of a silly little pod and push its way through to the sun. And if it doesn't do that, it's going to die. And then it's got to hope it rains a bit, And then it's got to hope somebody actually cares, and then. So challenges are not the end all of an idea. They are there to show you that you need to commit to it, stand firm, show you the weaknesses so that you can shore them up or move into a stronger position. All of those kind of things are what that's about. So try not to give up this month too quickly. If something needs to be given up, that would be fine, but because it's in the weakness zone, it suggests that you give up on something that you probably shouldn't have this month. The Hierophant, taking advice, but also the interesting thing about that is the Hierophant or a person giving advice can be seen as critical, or it can come across as criticism. This would be anybody in authority, somebody who knows better, an advisor, the boss, partner, if they've got authority in a particular situation. They will be telling you what's what, and it may come across as critical, but it could go the other way as well. Think about how we communicate. Don't take it too personally if you're on the receiving end. If they're really harsh, let them know. Oh, you're being a little harsh there. Eight of Pentacles, working hard, putting your butt into it. We've got a lot of this hard work, a lot of the past. It's all happening in November. There's a lot of energy going into November. So it's a good time to get things done for Gemini. It's a good month for you that even though it goes by very quickly, you will be satisfied with the amount you have achieved. With the Knight of Swords, it's all full steam ahead. We're not thinking about anything too much. Now, it can lead to problems. That could be where the criticism comes in, that you didn't do something properly, you didn't allow for something has to be fixed later because you were racing through it. But having said that, sometimes we've just got to go, and that's what you feel like to me this month. And because of that, you acquire, you accumulate, you put money in the bank, you get the work behind you, that kind of thing. You get a stack of papers that is all complete and done and finished. And so there's a lot of goodness in that too. So I wouldn't dare suggest that you should slow it down, because I don't really think that you can, but I also don't think that you should. You should drive that energy while you've got it, because when we've got that energy, we fire on in till the job is done. I know that one very well. I'm terrible for, if I do put something down, getting me to pick it up again is a shocker. Oh, this is you, Cancer. Main influence, pressure. Pressure, feeling under pressure. Because it's a main influence, it'll affect many parts of your life. So feeling under pressure and weighted down, we don't like that. Cancerians in particular don't like pressure too much. What to watch out for is authority figures in authority, people trying to take charge, to people trying to take over. Authority figures, it may be legal, it may be the police, it may be a court case, any amount of those things. But in the what to watch out for, it suggests that they may try to bully a little bit, or they may try to stamp all over you, Cancers. The strength is privacy. That means being able to maintain your privacy, hold your dignity, your elegance, that kind of thing, and not necessarily go everywhere that you people might want you to go. By being able to hold that, it is a strength of Cancer in general. This month, it suggests that it's one that you will be served well by, that it's not one of secrecy but one of privacy, that there are times to speak and there are times to hold. The weakness is in the health, so do watch your health, Cancerians. If you don't feel too good, think about what might be causing that. If you feel like you need more vitamins, go get some spirulina. If you feel like you need to drink more water, drink more water. If you feel like you need to eat less carbs, eat less carbs. If you feel like you need to see a doctor, do all of those. Hiya, Popeye. All of those things. So think about what you need to be healthy rather than about just letting yourself get run down. If you're overly tired, sleep, those kind of things. The Eight of Pentacles, again, we have accumulating energy. The things that you do in November will pay off. They will, not necessarily a big payoff, forget the lotto type of thing, but more that, a few cents here and there in the jar ends up with a jar full of cash, and that turns out to be quite substantial. We've got Judgment, which is, of course, being responsible, but it's also the authority figure. They can come in and they can say, here you go, this is what you've done, this is the price. It's that kind of energy for some of you. It's not always in your control, because it's what to watch out for. It can come from the outside and call you to order, whether you want to be called to order or not. But we have got the Six of Wands, and that suggests that, you can see the end. You can see the end coming, that there is plainer sailing going forward for you. Through November, things will get easier and easier. So as the month goes by, it just gets simpler, it gets easier, it gets nicer, it gets more pleasant by the end of the month. The Two of Swords we do have, and I think this is in the health area, we have like a I don't want to know, I don't want to deal with it kind of an energy. Do think about it, because what you don't deal with today may escalate and become more of something to deal with tomorrow. So try not to fall into the I don't want to deal with it energy, especially if it's in relation to pressure and authority. You may need to just sort something out, whether you want to or not, so that you can move on. For Kathy, for you personally this month, I do think that the particular thing of note to see for you is in actual fact what you wouldn't expect considering your trials right now. It's more the Eight of Pentacles is drawing me really loudly in your favor, and it just suggests that you're going to make gains this month through November in areas that you may not have expected to, that every little thing that you do brings something to you. So you're accumulating and gathering, and you're finding that you're getting the store of stuff, and it doesn't feel like just material stuff, although that's there. There's almost like the store of good energy, if you like, or a store of things coming back to you. This isn't about reward. It's about I've collected it, I've earned it, I've created it, it's mine. It's that kind of an energy. And it's a lovely energy that leaves you feeling like you're just doing what you have to do, getting on with business, and it feels good. Basically, that's the Eight of Clubs, Eight of Pentacles in a nutshell. For the authority figures, I do see a fair bit of pressure on you from authority figures or from people who want to take authority, whether they actually technically, legally or otherwise have the power to do that. but I don't see it as a malicious intent as such, but more of a thoughtless line. But it seems very flash in the pan. It starts, there's something said, there's words spoken maybe, and then boom, it crashes down and it's like, okay, so that's done. We don't have to worry about that anymore. So I can see that being the way things go for you. I'm actually visually seeing a coin dropping into your hand this month. So bear that in mind. Usually that does mean money. So, but it's about how it comes to you, because I see it dropping into your hand and it's very shiny. So it doesn't feel necessarily expected. Leo, journeys is the main influence for you. You'll be thinking about the future. You'll be thinking about moving. You'll be thinking, am I where I want to be? You'll be thinking about holidays and trips or visiting family and friends, that kind of energy. There's this wonderful energy around journeys for you. So it's a really nice energy for Leo, because you like that. You like things to be on the move. You like certain things to be static and stay the same, and you like other things to be exciting and draw you out of yourself. Watch out for being led. So being led to me for a Leo is a person who is really not telling you the truth about something, not giving you the full story about the end game. And they may lead you off in a direction that 3 or 4 days later or a week later, bearing in mind it's a November reading, not a life reading, that you have to come back from. If it's somebody who invites you out to a party, you might find you have to walk home, that kind of energy. It's a false promise energy, but again, it's that it doesn't feel momentous for you. Let's put it that way. It just feels inconvenient. So expect that a little bit. The strength is released. That means you're not going to want to kill them, feed them poison, or hunt them down to the ends of the earth. You're going to be okay with releasing that. You're going to be okay with releasing certain things from the past. You're going to be okay with just letting go of stuff that may have been causing risks for a while now. Your weakness is putting things on the back burner, and it's too long to have written all of that. So putting things on the back burner is going to cost you later, and this month you're going to be very tempted to do that. In fact, you're going to do it, most likely, unless you really consider. I would say choose what you can put on the back burner, but it's very much about your eyes are all forward, and mundane things are really just not going to be for you at the moment. We've got the Three of Swords reversed, and that's that release, I think, where you've had pain, hurt, reality striking that you haven't enjoyed from the past. Even in the present you may be living right now, you're going to let that go. I don't see any issues with that. And we've got the Queen of Swords helping you with that. That's thinking things through in an analytical way. You mightn't be as concerned about the emotional side of it or the other person's emotional side of it. What's done is done. It's that kind of mental energy. It's a little bit fatalistic, but it's also correct. What's done can't be undone. It's done. I've got the Page of Wands, lots of messages, lots of interactions, people sending you messages, Facebooking, PMing, texting, calling. Expect news to come via message, and that seems a little par for the course today, but in a modern world, I should say. But for you in this month, as it stands, it could be that these messages are firing you up. Now, if it's a Nigerian prince offering you $50,000, right, and you start a communication with this Nigerian prince, expect to have to come back from that, okay? We've got the Queen of Wands reversed. Now, the Queen of Wands is quintessentially a Leo, the fire sign, but is representative of Leo as a rule. Now, in the reverse, you're going to feel like you haven't got enough time for yourself and that you can't seem to make choices based on your own needs or what you would like. So you may feel a little bit that you have to follow somebody else's march at this stage. May feel a little bit like you can't always do what you want this month. Having said that, we've got these journeys, so you may be pushed to do something because of the requirements of others. It doesn't feel horrible to me, though. Just watch the back burner stuff. I think that would be vital for you this month. Virgo, your main influence is escape. You're going to want to escape the way. It doesn't matter what it is. If you're sitting in a room with a few people, it doesn't matter if you like them. You just want to get away from them. Do watch the tendency to turn that into substance abuse. Just saying, for anybody that is in this position of wanting to escape, but Virgo in particular in November, escape could mean into booze, drugs, dope, doesn't matter what it is, medication. Think a little bit about that, because it's not really an escape when you do it that way. But wanting to get away is going to drive you, and that could lead to some falling down of relationships. It could lead to endings, intended or not intended. You'll just feel like the world is closing in on you in November. And I can almost feel you looking down at Christmas and thinking, oh gosh, another Christmas, and I'm not where I want to be. So it's been a long time. We've had a couple of years of Virgo pushing this energy of wanting to be somewhere else, wanting to do something else, but not quite actuating it in a lot of cases. What to watch out for is partial truths. And see, we've got this stuff just weaving through every, one way or another, it's weaving through every sign for November. Partial truths is something to really watch out for. Now, because it's to watch out for, the other person may not be intending to give you a partial truth. You may only absorb the part of the information you wish to take on board, the rose-tinted glasses kind of a thing. And so if that's the case, you may need to revisit something that you've been told, or you may need to get a second opinion so that you get the whole story. You want somebody to say to you, but what about? Because you may just light up on the best bit and not see the negatives of something. Very important thing, and a distinction between deceit, dishonesty, misrepresentation, etc. Strengths. Your strength is your ideals, and normally that could be a weakness for you because you can get them out of sorts. But at the moment, your ideals are a strength. They will help you work out the best way to be, and the best way to be you. That's the part we're talking about. If want to live your ideals, we all want that. Having the ideals blah 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 encourages you to can we do take 3? Encourages you to strive towards being the person who can live that ideal, whether you make it or not. Each stage of pushing towards an ideal gets you into a better position, a happier position, enjoying your life more perhaps. And your weakness is confusion. So with partial truths and confusion, I would suggest maybe Dorothy has escaped. If I was a Virgo, we could be there. Feeling everybody's energy, I tell you, it's like I'm doing every sun sign for 12 months, for 12 sun signs for a month. So I'm living everybody else's. It's yummy. Yummy. Sorry, if I burst into song, that would be so sad for you all. The confusion is an interesting part to have here. So perhaps you feeling confused or unclear creates this energy of partial truth, the weakness in the partial truth, something to watch out for. When I'm looking at them, and when I was writing in the word confusion and I already had partial truths, ideals, escape, what I was looking at there was the fact that there's this message inside yourself that's confusing, and as such you may receive other people's information as mixed messages. You may receive signs as mixed messages. 1 minute, we have periods of time where I'll get somebody, it happens a bit, where somebody will come to me and they'll go, look, I've been told this and this and this, and I've gone to 6 clairvoyants, each one's told me different stories, or this one said yes and this one said no. I just go, well, the problem is you went to 6. And the reason you went to 6 is you didn't believe the ones that told you what you didn't want to hear, and you didn't want to believe the ones who told you what you needed to hear. And the combination of that, your mind tells you that you've got mixed messages, but on a ratio of going online to talk to psychics, you are going to hit more than or at least 50% of bullshit. I mean, did I say that? Yes, I did. They are not good psychics. They may not even be psychics. A little Japanese man sitting somewhere in China just to confuse us all. It's not Virgo that's confused. It's me, a little Japanese man sitting somewhere in China with his name as Lily Levine, with 50 years experience as a clairvoyant, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's easy to do these days if you can't see them. If you go there to that, I hate that, is it Orcon? What's it called? Not every day a psychic says you're going to do drugs. That's true. What was it called? Oh, Oron, something. Bitwine started up the video, or took a role in the video online psychics, and it's such a sad thing. It's really horrible. It's really awful. And they take a massive amount of money out of their pockets as well. But I can recall, when they first started up, they must have had a lot of paid ads, and these little ads would come up on the side of, on BTR too, actually, little slides. And there'd be this woman sitting there chewing food and sagging up large and slurping her coffee back. And then a little sign under her, this psychic blah, blah is waiting for your call. And I used to think, that's just terrible, absolutely terrible. The confusion and all of that does strike me that you need to think of your ideals and use that strength to pass the confusion, to get past the partial truths, to hold into your own information and not rely on somebody to validate your dream. Using the problem with escape and wanting to escape is it can lead to rash decisions. It doesn't mean you shouldn't escape. When we come under pressure, a human trait is to relieve the pressure. And quite often it's seen as, and I've heard people say that this person's self-destructive. They're not self-destructive. Nobody wants to destroy themselves. What they are, though, is trying to relieve pressure, and they don't know how. So they'll break down the relationship. They won't pay the power because once the power is turned off, or they'll get kicked out of the house, the pressure of paying those bills and being committed to those bills is actually gone. There's a lot of homeless people that are homeless because they can't handle the pressure of those commitments, not because they couldn't pay them necessarily. So anyway, just a thought. The Knight of Cups is a charming person, so use your charm. You'll be full of it, pardon the pun, this month, and you'll have plenty to share around. That means that if you want to share your ideals, if you want to find yourself going in the right direction, sharing the positives rather than looking to escape will get you further. The influence of escape can be used in a positive way. You won't be listening to advice too well. I've got the Hierophant reversed, and there's part of the confusion as well. That if you ask somebody for their advice and they give it to you and it's sound advice and you don't listen to it, naturally the next thing in your mind is going to be confused, because if you're not listening to their advice, clearly you have another idea in your mind. You have another process. You have another thought. You have another belief. Why did you ask for the advice in the first place? Ask yourself that, and then try to be really open to hearing what they're saying. They might be all right, but they may adjust or make just enough of adjustment to the way you're seeing your way forward to give you what you need. We've got the Six of Cups again, Here we go again. Now, the threat of the past, these regret over past actions. You'll be thinking about the things that have gone wrong. As part of your escape, this will start to play on your mind. It'll get bigger, until all you can hear one night or one day is the things that have gone wrong in the past. So look at the person or the situation or the job in front of you and ask yourself, did it happen here? If it hasn't happened here, then ask yourself what you need to deal with in the past. We've got the Nine of Cups. If you do it right, your ideals can be met, and that's the Nine of Cups. That's what it's all about. You can exactly get what it is that you want if you approach it correctly, if you do all the right things, and if you can try not to buy into the confusion of splitting the idea of what you want. Now, being overly self-critical, harping on at the past when something looks bright and positive in the future, again heralded by the Nine of Cups, can lead you to not really be sure and not knowing how to make a decision. So it's time to sort of think of the best way rather than how do I get out of here. For Libra, we've got the main influence is the past. Are we all surprised? November's going to be a shocker. We're going to have people crying all over the place. The past. There's a main influence. It's going to hit you everywhere. When it's in different positions and different parts, then it's going to be more isolated for some. For Libra, though, the past is there. It's going to rear its head up. Now, it doesn't have to be negative. It could be that this wonderful person you've been in love with 20 years ago, you've just divorced and everything looks crazily bad, waltzes into your life and it becomes something you can enjoy. Sure thing, Christy. What to watch out for? Spite. Now, if it's coming from you, I would be a little bit surprised because Libra's not known for it, but it's never impossible. And it does happen. But if it's coming towards you, somebody could deliberately try to do you damage because you beat them, you got one up on them, whatever that might be. And do please be aware if it's yourself because you've got control over that. You haven't got control over somebody else. So if somebody gets spiteful and they decide to try and throw a spanner in your works or cause you some problems, you may need to deal with that. Your strength is money. You'll be able to spend it, use it, accumulate it, plan for it, pop it where it needs to be. Your resources are your friend this month. And weakness is forgetfulness. So, forgetfulness isn't a major crime, but sometimes people get annoyed with us, and that could marry into the spite as well. For example, if you forget you're supposed to be there on the anniversary night with your wife, the chance is pretty good. She's going to be spiteful. If you forget to do something important in your job or in your personal relationships, it may come back to bite you quite severely. The Queen of Wands, again, is yourself. It's not about self, but she understands. The Queen of Wands understands that if I take care of myself, all of my world can be great. I do need to prioritize myself, but I can be magnanimous and generous and kind and giving. So it's not about selfishness. It's really about taking care of self and making sure that you're where you need to be so that everything else can work out for you. We've got the Hanged Man reversed again. So you're not going to be willing to give anything up this month to get something or for somebody else. But I don't see that as a real problem either. I see that as quite balanced. It's quite balanced in the way that I'm looking at your month going forward. We have got the Queen of Swords again, and she's very analytical. So you're going to find yourself dealing with things in a progressive, analytical, thoughtful way as opposed to an emotive way. Not everybody gets on with that, by the way. If they're feeling all, selfish and all confused and they want you to do something for them, you say, sorry, I haven't got time. They mightn't like that too much, but having said that, that's not your problem. So I see this month being a little bit like that for you. It's not really my problem. What do you want to do about that? The Two of Wands, again, you know exactly what you need to do this month to get the job done. So it's a very focused month for November. It's a month where you know what you need to do. You know how to take care of yourself, Libra. You know what's going on. The past is going to jump up at you, but I don't see that being a problem. You'll just analyze that. If somebody's 10 years ago still trying to get over the fact that you broke up with them or that you had an out, you'll be very simply saying, yeah, you know what, I'm past that. So maybe you need to go and see somebody to get help because you know they'll hate that, right? They'll get really upset and they'll become spiteful. Now, Jennifer, are you Libra as well? Were you looking for a personalised? So we'll start with Christy. Christy, for you in the Libra month, excellent. I'll go Christy, then you. So for you, Christy, in this particular month in November, the main thing I've got around you is I've got some friendships creating a little bit of a wave or two for you. Some of them you're going to say goodbye to, and that's the past element for you. But I get the feeling, too, that you will have wanted to for a long time. And this month, the Queen of Swords is coming to your aid, and she's going to sit there in your mind. She's going to drive your little brain around, and she's going to say, we don't need this anymore. Sayonara. And if they're not particularly close to you, you'll feel really good about it. So it's a clean house energy for you this month. I do get the sense of you accumulating a few coins. I get a little bit of husbanding away, putting things away. Husbanding's such a neat word, isn't it? Because it implies that men do it well. But it's a provider energy. So you're popping it away, popping things aside, and then I don't see like this being a massive thing immediately, but I do see you really benefiting from that later on and feeling pretty good about yourself. Do watch the forgetfulness. I see that playing a major role for you. You'll start to do something and whoop, gone, and then it's gone for like a day, and then it's like, oh my gosh, blah, 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 I'm so sorry, that kind of energy as well. But it's definitely going to play a big role for you, the weakness part of that. So it's kind of an interesting month. Other than that, it feels kind of calm for you. It feels pretty relaxed. It feels quite nice. I've got, believe it or not, this is possibly not, it's probably me going sideways into your aura because it doesn't feel the right kind of reading, this kind of energy. But I've just got brand new music coming your way. It's like somebody shows you a new song or they show you a new piece of music and you just, bam, it's like something, when you just listen to something, it's just like, I so needed this right now, or it opens your eyes somehow, or it becomes very real for you, and you just got to listen again and again and again. I see that happening for you this month, which is a real powerful thing because we've all heard a lot of music. Want to get something that we love, something new, something brand new coming to us, and we love it. It's a really nice feeling. Jennifer, for the November month for you, I've actually got you smoothing through. Look at me, smoothing through. You like the, this isn't about snakes being mean because I don't think of snakes that way. But when you see the image of a snake going through the grass and it finds its best way through without the bumps and without the scratches and without the nastiness and without, the lumps, you're that this month. You find your best way through all the situations, and none of them really feel to get on top of you. So I think that you've got that quite in hand. I think you will have to watch spite this month while it's there. I don't see it affecting you. I just say, right, fine, see ya. You just carry on doing what you're doing. It's a really powerful month for you in that regard. I've got a real strong energy of you just knowing what you need to do. I do see you accumulating money through the month. It's regular. It's on. I knew somebody would go there. It's regular. It's ongoing. Because I've envisioned the snake, you're going to find yourself in that position where it's not quite the new skin look that I'm going for, where they create a new skin and therefore they can put a new face to the world. It's more of the fact that it quietly is just doing it. nobody really notices until they look, and then all of a sudden you've got yourself in this wonderful position and everything feels good and you feel like you've done a good job. So you feel like you've been recognized without having to fight for anything. So it feels like a pleasant, nice, comfortable month for you. So I hope we covered everybody. I hope we forgot nobody. We're right in on the hour. Beep, boop. With Libra, I've got Michelle. Sorry, there was the one more that got in touch with me. You're very welcome, but I will pop her in there. So Michelle, with your Libra, this month I've actually got the money for you being quite a powerful thing. I've got bank accounts and bank balances, but I think you will sign and get money, and that's what it feels like to me. So whether you're signing for a new job, I just see the signature and I see you getting the money. It doesn't feel undeserved, it doesn't feel unearned, and it doesn't feel like a lottery, that kind of thing. What it feels like, though, is, you can do that. You can get the loan if it's a loan. You get the job if it's a job, but the signing on the dotted line, and it may be towards the last week. I've got perhaps the mid to the third quarter of November, because there's 4 weeks, yeah? And I've got you then signing on the dotted line to receive some money, and that feels really nice for you. I have got just a little bit of a person needling you, and that's where the spider's now. It doesn't feel horrible, but it feels like a family member, and it feels like somebody you've had some conflict with perhaps in the past, or something you thought that was history suddenly comes back in a few spiteful words, and you have to rethink how that relationship is going. The whole feeling I've got you through that in November is that feeling that you thought this was okay, but clearly it's not. So I hope everybody enjoyed that show. Now, next week we have Altered States on Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. with Kathleen Moore and myself, and we're talking to the dead. I've put a call out on the IntuiTalks Facebook page. Pop over to Facebook, sign up for the IntuiTalks page, and you will see the shows that are listed on the day within an hour or within 10 minutes of going live. Shoot along to IntuiTalks.com. Check out the shows. They've got a calendar. You can check out the whole month of shows. You can check out the days. You can create your own show. Do it however you wish to do it. But join us now if you want to pop a photo of somebody who's passed into spirit onto the IntuiTalks page, or PM me, whichever way you want to do that. Then Kathleen and I will do mediumship readings during the show, but of course, conversely, you can ring in on the day and we can have a look at it there. So thank you very much, everybody. And this month, remember, don't be a part of your own problem. Ciao for now.